The new migration strategy we'll announce this week will bring migration back to sustainable levels.
We are going to make sure that we bring numbers back under control.
We will stop overseas care workers from bringing family.
A single applicant will need to show that they have $20,000.
Hello my people, welcome again to my YouTube channel. I know it's been a long time since you guys have seen me make a post, and that's because I've been really busy with work, but now I won't say I'm free, but I have more time to make videos, and I promise I'm going to be making more content in the future. I'm planning on focusing on making like vlogs and going around Australia and show you guys what it's like. But yeah, what this video is going to be about is basically giving strategies on how to apply for visas, especially visas to Australia in the year 2024. So if you guys have been on the internet or paying attention to what's been going on the internet recently, you can see countries like UK and Canada have been coming out with strategies for their migration trajectory, because a lot of these countries have been seeing a huge influx of migrants, and that has been like a very sensitive topic for a lot of the people residing in these countries. We all know immigrants are important. They are the lifeblood of growth and economic stability in Western countries, especially where you have like aging population and you have a declining birth rate. So they kind of use migration to basically tip the scales and balance it all out. But it's obviously with the recent hike in inflation and the huge drop in supply of houses, the influx of migrants can be, it's not a cause, but it kind of exacerbates or kind of makes the problem worse. When you don't have enough houses for the immigrants coming in, it hurts the immigrants and the people already living in those countries. So the governments in these countries are trying to limit the number of migrants, or maybe even increase the quality of migrants coming into these countries. So obviously that is bad news for people who are planning to go into these countries, because now they're trying to implement stricter measures to basically curb or bring down the number of people coming into these countries. So if I were you guys, if I was someone who wanted to apply to travel to my dream country, what I would do now is basically I'm just going to give a disclaimer. I am not an immigration agent. I'm not an immigration consultant. Everything I'm saying is just basically a result of my own personal research and experiences, because I have been through the immigration process quite often. So I know what it's like to apply for visas, and I'm just going to share my tips and tricks on how to navigate your way in these difficult times. So the first thing I would say is you have to do your research, and you have to start early, because I know now we're in December, and if you plan to travel in 2024, maybe in July, you should have already started. Honestly, if you really want to travel, you should give yourself 6 months of researching and basically gathering all the information you need to be able to put in your application, because it is not applying for visas, especially if you have a weak passport, it's not an easy process. You need to give yourself enough time to research, make sure you meet all the eligibility criteria, make sure you gather all the documents, and research is going to basically streamline all the pathways you know you're eligible for, so you don't spend time going through a rabbit hole and then you find out it's a dead end. So give yourself enough time to research, and if possible, create an Excel spreadsheet of all the documents you need, the visa pathways that available to you. And also you have to keep in mind what your goals are, what your end goal is. Do you plan to migrate for a temporary basis or permanent basis? If you're trying to migrate permanently, you have to basically collate the permanent pathways that are available to you. The second thing you have to have in mind is you have to act quickly. Don't procrastinate. If you're a procrastinator, that's fine. I procrastinate myself, but when it comes to applying for visas, you don't want to procrastinate, because it is quite competitive. Like, think about all the people. There's so many people in the world applying for visas, and you have to keep in mind what you have to keep in mind is there is like a cutoff number. There is a limit to how many visas they can give in a year. So for example, if the Home Affairs says they need 200,000 or 500,000 students for a year, you have to think about it. You're going to be one of those 500,000 people. So you're competing for one slot out of those 500,000 slots. And if you procrastinate or if you're slower than someone else is going to take that slot. So you have to see it as like a competition, like a game of may the best man win. And you have to do best way for you to win that game is for you to be fast, is for you to be effective, is for you to make sure you're providing everything you need so the immigration department doesn't come back to you and ask you for more information. Because if they come across your application and they see it's not complete, they could do one of two things. Either they just reject you outright, or they might be compassionate enough to ask you for those information. And if you come back again with incomplete information, that's just going to slow down the process, or it's going to end it in a complete refusal. So the second tip is don't procrastinate, act really fast. If you have your documents, just upload everything straight away. Try to be as quick and efficient as possible. And another tip is you have to be honest. You have to be honest and straightforward. So if you watch the recent announcement by the Department of Home Affairs and the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, a lot of people actually have a misconception of what they're trying to say. They're not saying they don't want migrants or they want to, turn all the migrants away. They're just saying they want to make sure everyone that's coming into Australia to study are genuine students. And the way you can prove you're genuine students is if you meet all the criteria of a genuine student, which is you're going to reputable school. The school you're going to doesn't have any history of being a shady education provider. Also, you have enough funds in your bank account to prove you can sustain yourself. You can pay at least your first semester school fees when you arrive. And obviously, you're allowed to work in Australia. But you also want to show you have enough to survive for the few months when you arrive. Give yourself time to, get your get your credit, your debit card, get a bank account, get a place to stay, all of that stuff. You want to give yourself time to basically become settled in Australia. And that's one of the eligibilities of a genuine student. So you want to make sure you're not going into a shady school. You want to make sure you have enough money saved in your bank account to be able to help you transition and settle in this whatever city you're gonna live in Australia. And in your application, you want to be as honest as possible, because the people who are going to be going through application are going to have like 10 years experience working in the field. So you can't fool these people. They are really intelligent. And if anything comes across as a red flag, they could flag your application as being fraudulent. They might not reject you outright, but then they will start asking for more and more information. That might just come from maybe you not paying attention and giving them wrong information, or not being careful enough in your application, that it results to further scrutiny. So you want to be very cautious and careful of that. Make sure all the information you're providing is like 100% honest information, and you have to be as straightforward as possible. And the last tip I'll give is you want to craft a compelling story. So for whatever purpose you want to come to Australia, if it's for work, tourism, study, you want to make sure you can craft a compelling story that can draw their attention to your application and makes them understand the reasons why you want to come into Australia. Like for example, when I came into Australia, at first I came in with a tourist visa, and I was able to give a good reason why I needed to apply for the visa. I let them know I was coming to see my partner's family for the first time, because I never saw them before. I also have family in Australia I haven't seen in a long time. So giving them that backstory would basically set a precedence for them to understand the reason why you want to come into Australia. And basically it just gives them like a human approach to who this person is, because when someone comes across the application, all they see is like a name and a number. You're gonna have like a reference number, and the only thing that sets them apart and brings like humanity into the picture is when you give them like a compelling story to your application. Then you can basically appeal to their empathetic side, if you catch my drift, and basically it just gives the immigration officer a connection to your application. So you want to make sure you have a compelling story and make sure it's 100% genuine. You don't want to make stories up, because that's going to further complicate your situation. So those are the tips I would give for someone who wants to apply to come into Australia. And if you have any questions on basically how to apply for visas, I'm not an immigration agent, but I can give you my advice based on my own experience. If you had anything else you would like to ask, or you would like to know, you can just drop comments in the comment section down below, and I will do my best to respond to your questions. So that's all for today's video, and remember to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.